Right, so we will begin with actually before we completely settle down, I mean, if you've got a yoga block or brick, we'll definitely need it later on, but if you haven't got a yoga block or brick, then a big book, like a recipe book or something that hardback, will be useful, because we'll do that thing where we're going to stand on it later. So if you kind of have got one to hand, would be useful to do it now. Right. So what I want us to do initially is just settle in our posture for our meditation. So let the eyes close when you're comfortable. Feel the weight of your body and that the roots, the invisible roots that hold us down. And then I just want to come back to the imagery of the plant stem as the spine. So we feel the base of the spine, the tailbone, releasing down and keeping us kind of steady with those invisible roots that hold us to the earth. And yet there is like a plant stem. We reach up to the light, and the depiction often in yoga at the crown chakra, the energy center at the crown of the head, is of the 1,000-petaled lotus flower. So, that's a lovely image with the plant stem, the roots, and the lotus flower. And it kind of, when we embody this image, it helps us have that feeling of height through the spine, of reaching up towards the light with the crown of the head. So with the eyes closed, just feeling this posture, and then begin to employ the ocean breath. So we slow down the flow of the inhale and the exhale by slightly restricting the back of the throat. And begin to listen to that sound of our breath as it's siphoned in and out. And let it take time. You can't just go straight in. It just takes a little bit of time to find your own rhythm with the Ujjayi breath. This conscious breathing practice that we do not only to strengthen the lungs and get them in great working order, but also for our nervous system. And so as you continue with your ocean breathing, I want to bring in another one of the Yamas, which is the first limb of yoga out of Patanjali's 8 limbs of yoga. And this is about your energy level. And it's useful to sort of consider your energy as a sort of storehouse, but it is something that we can increase. But we, for sure, we all know that it can also be depleted. So the Yama is called, the word is Brahmacharya. Great word. And it's roughly translated to moderation, increases energy. And it originally was translated to mean more about the monastic life, choosing celibacy. It's kind of changed since then. And this really practical guide looks at more of the householder rather than the monks and nuns of the world. And it's about how we use our energy. So I want to read from this, and this bit's called Finding Our Personal Balance Point, because actually it's got to be relevant for us. But just continue to sit and continue to use your ocean breath, and I'll just let the words kind of, wash over you. You take what you can and what you need from it. By knowing what we want to give our life force energy to, we create priorities. Time with friends and family, time alone, time to get work done, time to play or exercise, all need our attention. If we listen to our bodies, we have that ever-present gauge to see how our personal energy management system is working. If we feel depleted, we will know something is out of balance. And if we feel full of energy, we know we're employing the right amount of internal control. To maintain this, we need to establish daily connections with our inner rhythms and needs. Like nature, which has her cycles of day and night, summer and winter, growing and resting, we also need the rhythms of our lives to be in balanced proportion. When nature's patterns are out of balance, devastation occurs in ways like flooding, drought, blizzard, and then I'm adding in brackets, pandemics. When we are off balance, similar chaos occurs in our health, our work, and our relationships. We must find our center, our personal balance point. This is the equivalent of engaging our core in a yoga posture. When we are connected to our center, we can expand from there. In life, this means we prioritize important life goals, say no to extra engagements or tasks that distract us from them. Sometimes this means eliminating relationships that drain us. So it's really, when we talk about our yoga practice, perhaps it is a letting go of certain postures or sequences that don't serve us, that don't balance our energies. But it's not always things that deplete us. It's not always movement. It's not always energy out in a way, because there's a lot of increasing of energy when we move as well. So it doesn't always mean rest more, because sometimes it means move more. And I think that that's an important thing to consider when we talk about our energy and how we can increase it, get it moving. So as you know, our Ujjayi ocean breath can continue throughout our physical practice. But for now, we'll come out of our seated meditation and we'll come to lying on our back. Roll yourself down and bring your knees to your chest and rock. And then stretch your legs down the mat and push the heels away. So the legs are active. And the arms hands interlace, arms reach over. And just introducing this idea of the spine being really alive, and the plant stem when we're sitting, but even when we're lying like this, so we can breathe in and we can let the spine, the natural curves of the spine lift as we breathe in, and then as we breathe out, see if the spine can draw to the floor. And so what you're doing is you're engaging and emptying, and kind of you've got that engagement and that lift in and up of the abdomen, the bandha, the energy lock. So you're pressing the spine down. So we'll do a couple of those where we inhale and let that natural curve rise in the lower back, and then exhale and encourage the spine to draw to the floor. Do one more. And then breathe in, and as we breathe out, we'll bring right shin up and really squeeze that shin to your chest as you breathe out. Breathe in, lengthen, and then other side. And then keep going with this. So moving with your breath. Gently letting this movement, wake up and release the lower back, and also start to warm the hips. So we bring up the right knee this time, and just leave the right hand on that right knee. Let the left arm release down, and then we open the hip out. So we bring you're just gently opening that leg out so that it's in line with the outer shoulder. And as you gently squeeze that knee in, like a sort of pulsing movement, you're bringing that kneecap towards your armpit. And there's a little turnout in the leg. Keep active through the straight leg, okay? And just squeeze and squeeze that right knee towards your right armpit. And then when you're done, let the leg release and bring it over into a supine twist. Encourage the shoulders to be anchored. And then ease your way out. Take that leg down and bring the other one up. So squeeze it in. Then let the right arm rest down. So just the left hand. Turn out a little bit of that hip out to the side. And then squeeze it in. So you're encouraging the kneecap towards your armpit. Squeeze it in. Active through the straight leg. And then we cross the body with it into a twist. Shoulders stay down. And then come back. Feet flat, knees bent, arms down by the sides. Peel your spine up into bridge pose, lifting it as high as it can go and then replacing it back down. So do it with that sense that you are lifting from the tailbone slowly up through towards the upper back, and then replacing it slowly upper back, gradually back down to your tail, and then release before you tilt and rise. Breathing in as you come up, and breathing out as you come down. One more. And then a different kind of movement, but it's kind of staying in this bridge type posture. And it's the one where we're going to lift with the right hip first. And so it creates that kind of wave effect through the pelvis. So we start by lifting the right hip, and obviously the left hip's going to trail behind. And then when we get to the top, both hips are even, and then we drop down the right hip bone first, and then let the left release down. Then lead with the other side. So we lead up first with the left hip, and then drop the left hip. And the other one trails after. Lead with the right. So it's kind of a sort of Mexican wave through the pelvis. Slowly move with control, firing up all those supporting muscles and getting the hips just doing something slightly different. Because although we want mobility, flexibility, it's so important that the joints are really stable. That's why we kind of do these stabilizing joint movements. So you're leading with one side and then leading with the other side. Finish off that movement. Bring the knees up into happy baby. Let the feet circle round and the toes wiggle. And we can kind of wake up the body in different ways. And also, you know, it can encourage a flow of energy. And one of those ways which you'll be so familiar with is where we start to rock up and back. So we'll do it for a little bit of time. Get the momentum going. There's a lot of joy to be had in movement. You know, we are built to move. We are meant to move. And, you know, we release hormones for the brain when we move to make us happy. We're rewarded for our movements. They talk of the runner's high, but do they talk of the yogi's high? Anyway, so this, for me, never fails to make me smile. One more, and then we come up to balance. Chest lifts, shoulders draw down, bring the shins so they're parallel with the floor, and then bring the arms out and breathe. Just stay with it. Breathe. And then have a break, squeeze the legs in, but keep that balance on your sitting bones. We'll come back, do more boat pose. Stay with it. We can do it. Whoop. Joy in boat pose. Question mark. And then have a break. Really squeeze the legs in. So for our next one, we take the knees a bit wider, and then we're either going to have our hands at the back of the legs, or if it's accessible, we bring the fingers round the big toes. So whichever one you're at, hands behind the legs, or fingers around the big toes. What we need to feel like we're doing is encouraging the shoulder blades down, the chest lifting. And then we work towards straightening one leg at a time. So soften the other one as you go for the other one to be straight. Side to side. And if you feel like, if you're holding onto your big toes, it's kind of pulling your arm bones too much in your shoulders, then just go back to back of the legs, holding the back of the legs. And what we can also do is see if maybe both legs straightening or heading towards straight. Keep the chest lifted, keep the shoulder blades drawing down, then maybe take the legs a little wider, balancing all the time. No, I've got an itchy nose. So the next challenge is to slowly bring the legs together. Keep them straight. This is challenging, and luckily you've got your mat behind you, so if you do roll back, there'll be nothing there. You can just keep rolling. Keep lifting the chest. Encourage the legs to be straight. If you're shaking, that's perfectly normal. Good. Now bend the knees and cross the ankles, but take the arms round the outside, so you're taking hold of the left foot with the right hand and the right foot with the left hand. Okay, bring that cross of the legs up. Okay, and then encourage that cross of the legs towards the chest. Shoulders down. Then change the cross. And then let the legs release. So we haven't done this for a while, but I thought we'd do a little bit of foot work. Support with your hands behind you and have your feet out. And just roll the feet round. Actually, we do foot stuff all the time, but not this one. Roll the feet round both ways. And of course, let the toes be free and wiggle around too. And then we're going to bring the big toe edge of the feet towards the floor. Have your hands behind you, so you're just drawing that big toe edge towards the floor. Keep the feet flexed, they're not pointing. And then slowly open the little toe edge down. We've got our legs internally rotating. Really actively draw it down, and then externally rotating, little toes to the floor. Keep going between these two. Last one. And then bring the legs together. Keep the feet flexed, so you're not pointing them forwards to do this, they're staying upright. And then, like as if your feet are going into prayer position, we close the soles of the feet together. Now you're going to, and naturally you want to point them forwards, but keep them vertical. So try to bring all the toes together, little toe edge. You can see if you look at your ankles, how hard they're working. And then from them being together, as if they're opening back out, and then see how much you can turn them the other way. So the tops of the feet come together. And then just make it a little couplet. So move between soles together and opening them out as wide as they can. continue. Strong work for the ankles. Okay. Give them a rest. Feet flat, knees wide, hands behind. They'll work for the hips just to encourage them to get warmer. Knees down, right angles with the legs to the other side. And then whenever you're ready, you bring the arms up. So a little bit more challenge. Great. Slowly moving a little bit. So down with the knees to the right, make it a twist, hands come to the floor, leave the legs where they are. Obviously this left hip's going to lift, and you rotate, walk your hands around, turn in every way, the rib cage, through the belly, then back, other side, same, go into that twist, feel that you're long through your lower back, so it's not arching too much. Good. Back. Let's come to kneel, but if kneeling isn't right for you, just sit in a different way. Sitting on a block or sitting cross-legged. Just roll the shoulders round initially. Roll the shoulders round. Really simple, but it feels good. And then change direction. Okay. Cactus, forearms meet, right arm wraps under for Garudarsana, eagle pose through the arms. And the sort of main points to consider is that particularly if we're rounding through our back and our elbows are really dropped, we slide the shoulder blades down, lift the elbow tips, but also draw the front ribs to the back ribs. Just breathe into that sensation that you feel through your shoulders and your back. So you're letting the breath kind of explore that space at the back of the lungs a bit more with the conscious breath. Unravel the arms, come to the counter stretch, interlace the hands, and not only are you drawing them back, but you're also lifting the arms up, but without lifting the shoulders. So the shoulders stay down, you don't scrunch the shoulders up to your ears, but lift the hands. And then release. We'll go for the other bind. Forearms together, left arm wraps underneath and round. And then those 3 adjustments, shoulders down, elbow tips up, front ribs draw in. Breathe. unravel. You interlace the hands, knuckles draw back and up. And then release. We move into our practice of dog. Make it soft to begin with. Make it the exploration for our body, for all the bits that need to be released and noticed. It's a real welcome relief, I think, that particularly if you have had a busy time and the mind is working hard, to spend some time in your body, for your body, listening and responding. Move the hips side to side. So in a moment, we'll go into our soft plank practice, and just be mindful that if you need a break, you can come back to dog, or in fact, knees to the floor. But also be aware that if you're going to encourage and build strength, move into plank when you're ready, then you have to challenge yourself. Okay, you have to arrive at your edge. So walk your feet in plank a little bit, and again, you've got this kind of inner strength, but with this sort of softness as well. It's the holy grail. Holy grail of toilet paper, soft but strong. It's been a long week. Okay, take the feet as wide as the mat. So walk your feet as wide as your mat, and then just start to take the hips side to side. Slowly, don't let the spine be like a hammock. So you have control, you have this strength, and yet you're slowly moving the hips from the left to the right. Keep going. And then let the knees come to the floor. Let the toes come together and take refuge in child's pose. Let the hands relieve themselves by, the wrists relieved by moving the hands round, and the forehead rests. So you rest your brain. It feels nice to bring the hands down by your sides and just hold your feet for a moment, a brief hibernation. Itch my nose. Okay, let's slowly rise, and we come to downward facing dog. But let's take the right leg up and back as we breathe in, and then keep the thigh bone where it is, and we bring the heel towards the buttock. Okay, so you're bending and straightening the leg. It's not a lifted hip pose, but we're just checking in and expanding and contracting our hamstring. So tuning them up. Heel towards buttock. Look forward, bring that right foot between the hands, come up, warrior one, heel lifted. So just to get really into the feet and the legs, let's move between front knee straight, back heel lifted as high as it will go, to front knee bent, back heel dropping down as far as it will go. Just move between these two. And then stay low through the back heel, bent through the front knee. Inhale, turn your attention to the body, the upper body, the chest lifts, the arms reach up as you breathe in. And then exhale, drop the elbows to cactus, squeeze the shoulder blades together, stay open through the chest. 4 more. Inhale, exhale. Hands onto the hips, because we're going to come forward into warrior 3, balance, and then do something different with the arms. So let the weight come forwards, the back leg lifts, stretch that back heel back, and then the arms are going to come back to cactus. But if we drop the arms down, you can kind of see them in your peripheral vision. Let's see if we can lift them up and away from the peripheral vision. So the arms are reaching, squeezing up towards the ceiling. Keep breathing. Slowly come to stand. And then collect that back leg and squeeze it in towards your chest. Step it all the way back. Then bring the hands down. And we go to the left side. Inhale, up and back with that leg. And then heel to buttock. Let's bring the foot forwards. And come up. Work the legs and the feet. Lift the back heel. So you're right onto the toe and straighten the front leg and then drop both. You're working the foot, the Achilles, calf. And from the lower position, we then reach the arms up. Really bring your gaze to at least eye height. Lift the chest, reach the arms up and back as you breathe in. And then exhale to cactus. Draw the arm bones back. Inhale up. Three more. Hands onto the hips so we can shift into that front foot for a balanced back leg lift. Arms out, lifting the, very balanced today, lifting the arms away from you. So you're squeezing your shoulder blades together, keeping that openness across the chest as the forearms lift up towards the ceiling. Brilliant. Looking down. And then slowly, as you come out of it, the right leg comes all the way through and you squeeze it in before stepping it back and coming down. Okay, let's go back to the right leg, lift it up and back, and now circle that foot and free up the toes, circle in both directions. Forward into warrior 1 again. Okay, so we've got strong through our feet and our legs. Now we come to do the Garudasana through our upper body, the eagle. Bring your forearms together, and because we've got the right leg forward, we take the left leg underneath to wrap. Sorry, left arm underneath to wrap. And so from here, we slowly let the arms lift, elbows lift, heart lifts, and so does the gaze. So that maybe you get to that point where the forearms feel like they're almost parallel with the ceiling. Keep a little bit of attention through your feet and your legs. Brilliant. And then slowly come back to containment. Front ribs draw back into the balance. Keep the arms bound. Keep the arms bound as that back leg draws back parallel with the floor. Keep breathing. Now here's a challenge to see if we can slowly rise and take the left leg into the eagle legs, which is where we wrap left round the standing leg and then bring elbows towards knees. Brilliant. Keep breathing. Inhale, rise, unravel everything, and just step the feet wide and sort of slowly come forwards. So we take our counter stretch and are checking in a forward bend. Relax the head. And then the hands come down and we step ourselves back to our starting position. Left leg up and back, circle foot. Go around several times each way. Step forwards and rise. Cactus to eagle. It's the right arm that comes underneath for the bind and the wrap. And then very slowly we see if those elbows can lift up. Keep consciousness through your awareness, through your legs and your feet as you lift. Through the arms. Into that back bend. And then very slowly come back. Stay bound with the arms if that's okay. And then into the balance. Into warrior 3 with the eagle bind. Staying for at least 3 breaths if you can. And we slowly come to the full eagle where we wrap the right leg as far round. Maybe you hook the foot, maybe you don't. With the legs. Brilliant. Elbows to knees. And rise. Unravel. Take the feet wide and come into a forward bend. Fingertips to the floor or hands, forearms rest on legs. Just take it easy. Okay, let's slowly rise up. Good. Right, so grab your book, your hardback or a block if you've got one, obviously. Like a small paperback is no good because your toes will hang off the end and it will be annoying. Right, we've done this with blocks before. So you're standing with, let's go for the right foot on the block to begin with. And just take your time just to get that freedom of the left leg as it starts to swing. Don't go for it It just slowly gets more momentum. And of course the arms go helping with your balance. So it's quite nice, after that kind of eagle pose sequence where quite controlled, to have a bit of freedom to really let this hip free up. You can hold on to something, it's no problem. With the other hand, just let that leg really swing and swing, swing, swing. Okay, so now we gather it up and squeeze it in. Find that balance with a standing leg, foot, ankle. Trinesrajasana, dancer. So just to get that lining up of the knees, dropping of the tailbone. If you can, you're sliding your hand round to the big toe edge. And then take time as you, so yeah, the leg lifts up, but it's the heart that is open for dancer because it's a back bend. So we stay with that heart lifting as the foot rises behind you, and the offering, thumb and first finger, Yana Mudra, and breathe. And then slowly ease out if you can before we release standing foot. Squeeze that leg back in. And then step off and really just shake the ankle round. Good. Let's turn around. Left foot on the block. Just get stable, steady, take your time. Start just to build the momentum. Obviously, we stand on a block or a book, so we don't scuff the swinging leg's foot. That would be painful. But just let it swing. Real freedom for that leg. Ooh. It's harder on this side for me to balance, don't know why. Keep going. Good. Looks like we're all auditioning for the Moulin Rouge. Not sure how successful we'll all be. Okay. And then we take the right leg and we see if we can find that balance as we squeeze it in. And then take the foot behind you, get that lovely alignment initially where you're lengthening your tailbone and encouraging the knee back. Roll the hand round to take the big toe edge. And then slowly come into your dancer pose. Get the eye line at least to be eye height or higher, and then lift the chest and hold and breathe. Yana Mudra with the left hand. And then ease your way to bring the right leg up. Squeeze it in. And then step off your platform and give your foot a wiggle. Let's come to all fours. Spread the fingers, have the knees hip width, and just we bring everything down a notch. Well, from our standing sequences anyway, just move the hips, and if it feels good to let the back kind of get involved with a bit of rounding and dipping and exploring, then do so. If you're going one way, make sure you go the other way too. So we're going to use our book to support us in pigeon if we need it. So we're going to bring the right knee up towards the right wrist. Slide the right foot towards the other side of the mat and slide the back leg back. So too far away. Possibly book under right hip, because we want that evenness across the hips. So if we're too lifted one side or the other, we can either internally rotate the left leg more or build up the platform under the right hip. Because this is a morning class, I want us to really focus on the solar aspect of pigeon. So onto our fingertips, and again I want us to lift our heart. So imagine that the inner seam of the spine is slowly lifting and opening. Okay, with the support of the back body, the front body can open. Great. And again, this is one of those postures where, sometimes there's a lot going on, there's a lot of sensation. And you'll find that kind of natural edge for yourself. But obviously, like always, it's good to kind of explore and offer up options. So the hands may become in line with the hips, or we hold the mat. And then that allows that front body to lift and open. And then we reach back with one hand, or maybe both, to the back foot ankle. And then if you do, it's quite nice just to gently pull back a little bit so you get that stretch for the front body. There's a really lovely twist that can be done. And if you let the right hand come down, so this is again the stages for this twist, is just taking that left hand to the big toe side of the foot. So you can feel probably there that the left side of the chest opening. Now there's that possibility that you can slide the big toe into the crook of the elbow and reach then the other arm round to bind. And then slowly, wherever you're at, you need to come out and let this right leg have a lovely stretch. Just check and feel how the spine is, how the hips are in an all fours stable posture where we can just intuitively rebalance the body before we do it on the other side. And then the other side comes along and we go left knee up towards the wrist. And you're just shuffling that foot a little way across. You know, it doesn't have to be all that way, but listen to that left knee, okay? Because you don't want to go too far. And we come down. So again, book under left hip. Just take your time. We want to in order to help with this bent knee, we keep this foot flexed and kind of active because it helps to keep this knee protected. Onto the fingertips. Once we start to, you know, feel like we're settling into the pose, and we lift up through the heart. It always feels different the other side. And just see where you're at. Find your edge. Possible reaching back for the back foot. Maybe exploring that twist, let the left hand come forward and then turn the hand so it takes the inner edge of the foot. And you know, you can really feel that right side of the chest opening, stretching. And you maybe see if that little, no, it's actually the big toe, not the little toe, comes into the crook of the elbow. And then maybe the double bind. And when we release from wherever we are, we do it with kindness, compassion, and stay very much rooted in the body's wisdom, intuition, to let it know what it needs to find that rebalance. Let's roll onto our back. Ease your way down. Bring your knees up and rock. Release the hands and bring the knees to one side into a twist. Change to the other side. And then back to center when you're ready, and release down for Shavasana. So, if you're more comfy with the knees bent, feet flat, then do that. Get all your sort of wriggles or movements out, make sure you're going to be warm enough. And then we let the body kind of nestle down into the earth. Feeling that support. And we let the body rest. Let your body rest, let your mind rest. Let yourself have this as your recharge. So through our practice, we kind of shift energy and get it moving and directing it around. So that when you lie in your Shavasana now, we can hopefully sense the energy is freer. And that we've released tension and locks and tightness. Let the belly be really relaxed, following the movement of the breath. To stay resting, I'm going to share a poem. It's called Walk Slowly by Dana Falls. It only takes a reminder to breathe, a moment to be still. And just like that, something in me settles, softens, makes space for imperfection. The harsh voice of judgment drops to a whisper, and I remember again that life isn't a relay race, that we will all cross the finish line, that waking up to life is what we were born for. As many times as I forget, catching myself charging forward without even knowing where I'm going, that many times I can make the choice to stop, to breathe and be, and walk slowly into the mystery. gradually and slowly awaken. And gradually and slowly start to move and come to sit. Namaste. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.